How are you today? Okay, so our topic for today is on motivation and some of the parts of being a business owner or being self-employed that not too many people talk about. And I say motivation because, well, my hope is that by the time I'm done, you're going to be motivated. But let's be real here. Let's talk about motivation. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You get up in the morning and you dress up you get your business cards, and then you head over to a networking event. And a part of you is thinking, it will be so great if I can just make one or two really good connections that push my business forward, that give me what I'm looking for, even though you know that the idea is to go there to form relationships and to give value and to be of service. Really, what you're thinking is, I want someone to pay me. I want someone to pay me. And so you head over to this networking event and you meet a bunch of people. Maybe the networking event is what you expected it to be. So, like you have the group of people, you may have a featured speaker, you get some nuggets from them, and you interact with a few people. But on the way home, just imagine for a moment that you're driving, so you get into the parking lot and you sit in the car and you have that moment of disappointment because the event did not work out to your highest expectations or hopes, the ones that you kind of keep buried and hidden away, the one that you don't really want to come out and say, which is, I want to sell my products and services, obviously because you believe in them, but also because you need to make money. I mean, that's why you're in what you're doing. It's the way that you are going to earn your living. And you have that moment of disappointment where it was just, okay, so you made these great connections, but you're also not sure where they're going to end up. And everybody there was selling something. Nobody really was there to listen to anybody else. And you go home. Now you have this list of names and contacts that you need to call out of the blue to sell something. And you have these social media contacts that you need to reach out to offer value. And from your understanding of offering value, it's you give stuff for free as a form of building a relationship. So you reach out to these strangers and you offer them free PDFs and assessments or calls or whatever the case may be. Largely, you're ignored. Other people insult you and block you, and others say thanks and they consume your products and then go on their merry way. And you think to yourself, I don't know how much longer I can do this. If you're in a partnership, you probably have a partner who's sort of like counting down on your behalf, saying, you need to start bringing in something or find something else to do because this isn't working. Only one of us can't be the one having fun with a very expensive hobby and not contributing to the household expenses, because living is expensive. I mean, every single day you're alive, money is coming out. You need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to bathe, you need to do basic stuff, and basic stuff costs money. In and out, in and out. And the thing about social media is that you check in and all you seem to see are success stories all around you. Because that's the other thing about social media, it's highly curated. So what you see are your peers, being recognized with an award, or being recognized by others, or seeing these events where people went and they seem to have a lot of fun and get a lot of value and people are moving forward. And there's that part of you that's wondering, what am I missing here? Like, what is it that I'm not getting? Or is it true that I'm just simply not good enough? And this comes from childhood experiences. So if you had, childhood experiences in which you often were faced with rejection, so the other kids didn't think you were cool enough to join them, you just felt like an outsider, or maybe you came from a family background in which you moved a lot, so you didn't really have the time or the space to form deep relationships, lasting relationships with different people. So fitting into different groups is hard. Or maybe you were the kid who was always loved and wanted and excelled, but the truth is you had to show a side of you or be always on, meaning you are always funny or always helpful, or the snarky kid, the one who people wanted around for a good time. And even in those settings, deep down you wondered, like, am I good enough just as I am? That if I turn this off, would I still be accepted? And that's one of the things that they don't tell you about entrepreneurship, is that all your old wounds come to life. All your childhood experiences that were not pleasant, they show up in the business world, and they show up in our interactions with each other. They show up in how you talk about your products and services. If you talk about your products and services, all your childhood experiences show up in how you think about money, how you think about self-worth, what you think about value, and what your limits are. So your limits around making money or owning wealth, your limits around, what is too much, what is excess for you, like what is too little, what is enough. And more importantly, and I did mention the self-worth part, but more importantly, entrepreneurship really, really does test your sense of self. It tests your sense of self to your core, who you are, how you are, what you think you are. That gets tested to the core, and it gets tested relentlessly on a day-to-day basis with absolutely no stops. This means that you can't turn it off. This is not like a day job where you go in and you clock in, and when you're done, you clock out and you go home and you can forget about it. Entrepreneurship becomes like a second skin. It's on you 24/7. So even if you're not working on your business or in your business, you're thinking about your business. You're thinking about all the things that are going wrong or could be going right, or all the missed opportunities, or all the places you think you should be. And this is where you get to really learn what your expectations of self are. Like, what do you expect of yourself with this life? It tests you in terms of legacy or money, or some of those feelings that you'd rather not have anyone in the world know about. And that's what I'm going to go into right now. What are these feelings that I'm talking about? They're the feelings that deep down, you're simply not worth it. You're just not worth it. That it doesn't matter how you price your products and services. It doesn't matter what marketing platforms you use. It doesn't matter what techniques. It doesn't matter that you can sell ice to an Eskimo. When it comes to what you do, deep down, there is this fear that you are not good enough and that everybody else can see it. And this is such a pervasive feeling. It's touched almost all entrepreneurs' lives, including the ones that you look up to. I mean, if you follow the life of any successful person, you have to see that they went through a lot of hardship and hurdles. And these were physical for sure. But what a lot of people don't talk about is the mental huddle that you have to go through in order to be successful in the external world. Meaning, you have to take care of what is not seen so that you can materialize what you want to be seen. How does that work? It's this way. You can have two examples of people. The first example is someone who appears to be highly successful, making a ton of money, has a lot of friends, lives in a beautiful place, has a beautiful family. By all means, when you see this person, you're thinking, I want to be just like you. But then that person is extremely lonely and extremely insecure. And when they're in their private moments and their private thoughts, they're just afraid and dark and guarded, and they just don't want that bubble to bust. They're just really afraid. They're not happy. It's a fraud complex, right? The other example is someone who is not seemingly successful at all. Like, they live a very simple life, barely have any money, don't have anything, but that person has a quiet sense of self, a way in which the person carries him or herself that lets you know that this person is confident, knows what he or she is doing, understands the value that he or she brings to the table. But the question is, then why is that not turning into monetary success? Both types of personalities really, they fascinate me. The first, because all that exterior success without that internal foundation is still failure, because you do need to be integral, right? In and out. It needs to be, what's in should be reflected outside and vice versa. And for the second part, it's that you have this person who has all this potential and yet is underperforming, and it doesn't make sense. Now, I'm not talking about the person who is happy with what they have materially. I'm talking about the person who wants financial success, the person who wants to know that there's no problem when they go out and they buy stuff or when they help people. They don't have to worry about money in the bank. So they are internally confident, internally capable, and that shows in the external world. Well, why is it that the person can feel that way, but then not see those kinds of results out there? Now, these are the kind of people that I talk to and deal with all the time. Amazing people who are self-confident, they've done the inner work, they know who they are, they know what they want, they know the value of what they're bringing to the table. The thing is, when they look at the results, though, it's like, what the heck is happening? The money's not coming in, the clients are not there, all the different marketing strategies they use are not working, and it's so frustrating that they start to scale back on their efforts. And some days they're in and most days they're out. So they give that 50-50 effort that's kind of like, I'm just going to throw this up there and see what sticks, and a part of them starts to feel and believe that, maybe they're not worth it. And that's what it always seems to come down to, is the idea of worth. So this is what I've found to work in the different scenarios that I've been in. And I put myself through a lot of experiences in my life, simply because I am experience driven. And this is a way for me to learn. And this is, so when I learn, then I'm better able to teach, because I've walked the path and I understand it in a way that I wouldn't if I read about it or if I watched about it. And this is what I've discovered in all the little tiny spots in which I've found myself stuck, in which, I've looked at the situation and I'm thinking, this doesn't make sense. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. I know what I've been doing. Why am I not seeing any results? Like, this does not make sense at all. Well, what I found to be true is this. Number one is consistency. I want you to imagine this huge rock that's just blocking your way. Now you've got this straight path that's clear, and for the most part you've been walking on it and life is good. Maybe you had a few bumps, but nothing that you couldn't handle. And then you have this huge rock that's standing in your way, and you think to yourself, well, I can't push it, it's too big. So you start chipping away at it. And you'll chip away at it, and then you'll stop and look at the rock and think, this is senseless. This is senseless. Like, at the rate I'm going, I'm going to be here forever. This stupid rock is not going anywhere. And all my chipping is doing is just creating little stones and pebbles. It's not made a huge dent on anything. What's the point? So you'll, and maybe you'll try and climb over the rock, but it's too steep and too smooth and you can't. Or you'll just lean up against it while you contemplate your next move. And if you're like many people, you might say, you know what, I'm just going to head back. Like, obviously, this is a sign that I'm not supposed to be here. So you head back. So what I want to impress upon you with the idea of consistency is this. You're always that much closer to your goal every moment that you just don't give up. Every moment you don't give up. The time you take to walk toward a goal and then walk away from it, to walk toward another goal and then walk away from it, that is still time that is being spent. So, rather than walking toward a goal, feeling defeated, feeling like this is not happening for me, this is useless, maybe I made the wrong turn, I need to go back and regroup. that time that you're taking to do all that, including walking back, and usually it's the farther away the goal that you've walked toward it, you've reached your obstacle, you've walked all the way back, all that time could have been used just simply steadfastly sticking to the plan. Sticking to the plan. Your goal was to get somewhere, get there. It may not be easy. The road may be filled with lots of dangers and turmoils and troubles. You may have this huge rock that you have to chip away, and it's going to take time away from you, and it's frustrating. But remember what your end goal is always. This, some people like Simon Sinek will refer to as your why. You know, others like Oprah will always say, stay grounded in your purpose. Other people use different words for it. But really what the idea is that if you have a goal in mind, then the first thing is to be committed to it. So anytime I find myself in a pickle, and it happens a lot, more times than I care to count, anytime I find myself in a pickle, I have to remind myself of what my goal is, of what my ultimate goal is. And then create the space within for the answers, solutions, instincts, path for my brain to do its magic and come up with things for me to do that will push me further ahead, that will get me closer to the achievement of my goal. So that's the first thing, is anytime you set a goal, and you did set a goal when you started your business, then commit yourself to that goal and recommit yourself to that goal, and do it as often as you need to until that goal is written on your heart. And then the next thing is to create a space. Now, what do I mean by that? You create a space when you don't allow fear to take over. Fear has this way of just closing in. It closes you up. It just turns you into this small, minuscule thing. And before you know it, you don't have any capacity to think or to feel or to be proactive. You're now being reactive. You're now jumping and doing things as a result of. But when you allow yourself to look at a situation and say, I am stuck in this situation, I don't know what I'm going to do. It doesn't mean that you give in to the fear. It simply means that you acknowledge what you feel to be true at that time. And then stay open. Literally breathe. Stay open and ask yourself, what can I do in this very moment? What can I do in this very moment that will help me move one step closer to achieving my goal? What do I need to do right now? And then wait, and you will know the answer. Now, when I say you will know the answer, I don't mean that it's going to magically appear. What I mean is that your brain is constantly working. You are such a powerful human being. You're constantly working, even when you don't know it. Your mind is always thinking about ways to simplify your life or to go for what it is that you want, your subconscious desires. And so it's always working. So when you give it direct input, when you give it things that you are specifically looking for, like what is it I need to do at this moment that will push me forward? What is it I need to do right now that's going to take me one step ahead? When you give it those kinds of questions, then you're more likely to get the kind of results that you are looking for, because your next step is obviously going to be something that pushes you closer to your dream. At the same time, other forms of resistance are going to come up. So if you have other kinds of habits that you use when you're feeling uncomfortable or you're just not in a good space, like if you have vices, so like if you have vices or you procrastinate, whatever the case may be, that's also going to come up too. They're going to come up and they're going to be of equal strength. They're really going to be of equal strength. And this is what I say about that. Do not resist. Do not resist. The more you resist the uncomfortable feelings and the urge to indulge in your vices, the stronger the energy that goes toward that. Do not resist, but simply acknowledge. Acknowledging is so powerful because it's not, number one, an invite to feel the negative feelings, but it is definitely a way for you to be true to yourself by acknowledging how you feel. So in one sentence, you can definitely say, My business is failing. I don't have any clients. I don't have any money. I don't know where I'm going to market. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. You can say that, and in the same breath, allow the feelings to just pass through you. You don't have to give into them. You can simply acknowledge what is and not give into the negative feelings, because you want to stay open. You want to stay open to see what other solutions can come about, because remember what your singular goal is. That goal is the one that's going to drive you. Now, if you don't have a goal and you say, oh, I'm just going to start this business and we'll see how it goes. And if I make money, I don't make money, meh, I just want to help people. And you don't even have definite numbers. You don't have anything specific that you're aiming for. This is where you get into trouble, when those feelings of panic and worthlessness and fear come in, because you don't have anything to hang on to. You don't have something solid that you can grasp. You don't have a goal that you are going for, that it doesn't matter what your situation is right now, you know what that goal is. So you need to set a goal. Now, the other thing that I mentioned is the need to ask yourself the question, what do I need to do next? What is my next best step? What is the next thing that I can do in this moment that's going to push me further toward my goal? Sometimes that answer just doesn't show up. And that could be because of the state you're in. If you're under immense pressure, or if you just have those feelings of worthlessness and you just can't see the way out, if those feelings are strong enough, then there's absolutely no way that your brain is going to generate an answer for you. It's just it won't happen. You're just going to have misfirings. It's just not going to happen. And that's where it's important to have people that you can turn to and ask for help. A lot of people try to do things on their own. Many times they feel that they can. Entrepreneurs are fixers, right? You got into your situation so that you could fix a problem. You're probably the person who will try and fix something before you read the manual and then go back to it, when things are not fitting where they're supposed to be fitted. And I'm talking about IKEA parts. But you're fixers. You're people who like to solve problems. You're people who like to dive in and see what you can do with the situation. You love a good challenge. Sometimes though, your brain is just not going to help you out when you feel stuck. And that's because you're smack in the middle of the storm. So it's impossible to be in the middle of the storm and then look around and ask yourself, where should I go next? You can't see. You can't see. What could you possibly come up with that would be helpful? And in that situation, a lot of people will just do nothing. They'll just stay there and say, okay, I'll just wait for the storm to pass. Or maybe I'll just lie down and die, depending on how they feel. This is where people come in. I know of not one successful entrepreneur who does not have a ton of people behind him or her. It is virtually impossible to be a success story by yourself. You need people. You need people to sell to. You need people who will buy from you. You need people to support you. You need people to help you. You need people to open doors for you. You need people to help you out. You need people to call you out. You need people to lift you. And life will also throw you the people who will pull you down. You need people. Your success is never going to be as a result of just what you did alone. It just doesn't work that way. So what do people do in this instance when they need help? If they have a group of people they can turn to, then they turn to them and they pose their question, their problem, and they ask for help. And the help comes in the form of opinions, suggestions, whatever the case may be. Now, this is the power of a brainstorming session. A lot of people go into a brainstorming session thinking that they're going to get this one thing that's perfect and complete, but that's not really how it works. A brainstorm is almost like if you take an empty bowl and put it in the middle of a table and ask everybody to throw in candy into it, all manner of candy, just whatever candy you have in your pockets, throw into the bowl. And you mix it up, you shake it up, and then you see what you have. Oh, we have got Smarties. We've got 4 Smarties, blue, 5 yellow. Oh, we have Tic Tacs. We have Tic Tacs? Okay, sure. We have Hershey's, all sorts of candy in that bowl. And then you ask yourself, well, what do I need? And you're like, well, I feel like a little bit of chocolate. So I'm going to take, that small bar, whatever it may be, O. Henry, and you take it from that bowl. So that's what brainstorming really is. Brainstorming is the idea of just throwing out ideas, throwing out solution-oriented ideas. And out of that comes the magic. But you first need that influx of opinions. And if you don't have that group of people, then you're more likely to stay stuck in your situation than you are to find a way out. Because one thing that we highly underestimate is the value of other people's experiences. We don't really take that into consideration. We don't take into consideration that people have experiences that we don't have, that they have solutions we have never thought of, that they see problems because they've walked into them that we have no idea we will be walking into in the little next while if we don't listen. And because people rarely speak to each other about the real things. And by this, I mean that entrepreneurs will talk to each other and they will give this idea that their businesses are doing well because they're thinking about the public relations aspects of their business. So when you go out to a networking event or when you meet up with people, even if you meet up with them once a week, and you ask each other, like, how's business going? Your standard response is good, business is good. Or, it's tough, just these answers that are really blanket and general, and they don't speak to the pain. They don't, people are very rarely honest. They very rarely say, I haven't been able to sleep for the last 3 weeks because I don't know how the heck I'm going to pay my mortgage. Like, I'm drained, I'm done. And I don't have any borrowing capacity. I have not a single family member or friend I can go to borrow money from. And my spouse is looking at me with these eyes that kind of let me know that I am, borderline a failure or letting us down really badly. And I don't know what to do. So sometimes I wake up in a panic because I wake up from a nightmare in which the house is being repossessed and the neighbors are all gathering around and they're looking at us and they're wondering what's going on. And I'm so ashamed. People don't have those kinds of conversations. They don't. And yet, who is in the best position to understand exactly what you're going through than a fellow entrepreneur? Who? Tell me. Who is in the best position to understand the highs and lows of entrepreneurship than a fellow business owner? But those are not the kinds of conversations we have. And so each one goes to their different homes and locations with the same problems that they came with, no nearer to the truth or an answer, no nearer to a solution. And many, many people, far more than I care to think about, pack up and let their dreams die because they believed a lie. And the lie is that you're alone. You can feel alone when you're stuck. You can feel so alone, especially when you look out around you, or if you look at your peers and all you see is just all this great news around them. Or when you look at people on videos or pictures or, whatever the case may be, all you see is that they are successful. And you're like, I'm just asking for like a pinch of your success. I'm not even asking for millions. I hear that a lot. I'm not asking for millions. I'm not asking to be a millionaire, as though that has anything to do with anything. But you feel alone. You feel like nobody else understands and that you could never share that part of you with anyone else because you will be judged. You'll have the people who will say, I told you so. Or the people who will say, who did you think you were in the first place? Like, what were you thinking? Or the people who will look at you and say, yeah, well, join the rest of us. There's a reason why nobody's doing what you're doing, And yet you had a dream. You do have a dream, and it's a beautiful one. Fortunately and unfortunately for you, it's 100% up to you to make it happen. So if you're stuck and you don't have people to turn to talk to, then that is something that is easily fixable. This is how. I am in the business of finding the wisest, fastest path to success for entrepreneurs, small business people. And I'm in the business of helping people figure out like what they need, what they want, that is most authentic to them, that is as true as their calling, as the reason they were created. Because I believe as a Christian that we were created with purpose and for a reason. And so when I do my work, I am always interested in helping people figure out who they are, who they exactly are. Because whatever path you're going to take, it's not going to be easy. It doesn't matter what path you take. It's not going to be easy. There's nothing like a simple path. It doesn't matter what career trajectory you take. It's not going to be easy. You're going to go through things. And so the reason why I'm interested, first of all, in making sure that we're clear on what it is that you want is so that you can go on that path, and that because you're walking in integrity to who you are and what you want and what you believe your purpose is in this world, you're more than likely to stay the course than to quit. If you have something that is important, like for example, wanting money, but is not a strong enough reason to stick around when things get tough. And a really clear goal arises from what it is that you're trying to do. Why is your business so important? Why do people have to have your products and services? You know the answer. So when you have that goal of changing the world by changing people's lives through your products and services, then it's completely up to you to make sure that no obstacle stops you from getting what that good stuff is out to the people who need it. But you will get stuck because that's just a part of the road. It's a part of the journey. And I believe it's also intentionally created because it forces you to either reach out and ask for help, or stay within and stay closed up and close yourself off to all the opportunities that you could have had. So what does reaching out in this sense mean? It means joining a mastermind. And one of the things that I've created that starts next week, June 17th, on Monday, June 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is my Success Mastermind. And this is your opportunity to come together with a group of people who are like-minded, who want to grow successful businesses, so that you have a sounding board. So that when things are not going well for you, or when things are going well for you, you have a group of people that you can count on to share with you and to give you the input that you may need, to listen to you, and so that you don't feel alone. Now, this is a mastermind that's taking place over 6 months, and we meet once a month virtually. The reason I made it virtual, even though I know that there's power in being in the same room, is because I wanted to make this available to people in all the different places that may not be able to, say, drive downtown 6 to 8 p.m. every third Monday of the month. So I created this so that if you're able to just have access to a laptop or your phone, you can always tune in. These masterminds are so powerful. It's that collective awareness that you have, and it's that group of people that you are a part of, in which you're solving problems. So this is not a space to commiserate and be miserable. This is not a space where everybody's just stuck. This is a space in which you get to remember that just because you have a problem in one area doesn't mean that all of your life is a mess, or that all of your experiences and your expertise doesn't count. Because what is a problem to someone else may be the simplest thing to you. You've been there, you've done that, and you know exactly how you can help. How awesome is that? To discover that you've been struggling with a problem. for the last 6 months since January 2019 to go into one of these sessions and just like that to get your solution. How would that feel to you? How would that feel to you to knock something off your problem list, to have one less thing to worry about, one less thing to think about, to have all these people who completely understand what you're going through because they've either gone through it themselves or they're going through it or they will go through it. But how awesome does that feel, knowing that you can come into this safe space and let go, and for those 2 hours, just really be yourself, a human being with a business, and the business with its expected good things and troubles. So this is the space that I've created with the Success Mastermind. And it is perfect for you if you know the value of hearing from other people. If you know the value of not wasting time trying to solve a problem by yourself that you haven't been able to solve for the last little while, and you appreciate hearing different perspectives. You know, sometimes when I participated in these masterminds, sometimes just even listening to someone articulate a problem has made me aware of what I am going through that I may not have realized myself. It works so beautifully that when people are speaking, it always ends up being like a mirror that's been turned to face you, and you get to look at it and ask yourself, is that my situation? Or, oh my gosh, you just nailed it. You nailed it perfectly, what the problem is. It's that interaction that also helps you realize that you are not alone. You were never meant to do this alone. And that the dream that you have is not small. So you need your team of players. They're going to be 10 of us, and the spaces are going. I do not want you to miss out on this. So if this is for you, the investment is about $36 a month, but we take it in one lump sum. It's $195 plus tax. It comes to $220.35, and you can send that by PayPal or email transfer to julia@juliakatsiwa.com. We get you registered up, and you will receive instructions for our Zoom calls. This is a perfectly safe environment. It's, we all sign non-disclosure agreements. It's a wonderful group of people who are like-minded. They want to grow successful businesses. They want to help. They want to give, but they'd also like their problem solved. So this is the space to do it. And my goal for this group is that by the end of 2019, that people are not stuck in the same problem, that people have moved past the things that stop them and they're on to the next stage of their business, whatever that may be. But they're on to the next stage, they up level, they're not where they used to be. And the function is to bring people in and utilize everybody's amazing brain so that we can get clarity and answers, support, and so that you don't feel alone. You don't have to feel alone. That choice is yours. I've given you the opportunity. Now it's up to you to take it. Okay?